This is lesson number 5.7 out of the Decimals and Fractions book. If you're in Mrs. Walker's class, these notes are being entered into your math notebook on page 48. And the title of this lesson, lesson 5.7, is, and I'm going to do some abbreviating. This title gets kind of long if you write it all out. Okay, so the title is Multiplying and Dividing Mixed Numbers. Multiplying and dividing mixed numbers. All right, so warm up for this lesson has 4 problems. So warm up. I'll write some quick instructions out on the side here. The instructions for all of these problems is to write as improper fraction. So they just want you to get some practice at converting mixed numbers into improper fractions, which I would hope you all know how to do by now. But it's going to be key to today's lesson, so they want you to do that. So 3 1/2, 4 3/5, number 3 is 2 7/9, and number 4 is 9 1/3. So just get a little bit of practice at converting those mixed numbers into improper fractions, and you'll be ready for today's lesson. Our I can statement, which means what we will know by the end of this lesson, is I can find, I'm going to do a little abbreviation, I can find the product and quotient that includes mixed numbers. Numbers. Here we go. All right. So all that means is we're going to be able to multiply and divide fractions that include mixed numbers. So with my dark green pencil, I'm going to write a long line here, which tells me I'm at the end of my warm-up period and ready to start the notes of this lesson. So to begin the notes of this lesson, I have my cutout notes here about multiplying and dividing mixed numbers, which I'm going to glue into the upper left-hand corner of my notes area. So, got my glue. I think it's open. Here we go. Glue, just tiny little smears. All right. Oh, there we go. All right. Tiny little tadpoles. Here we go. That's going to be too much. Tiny tadpoles. Tiny little bit. Smear it out. Tiny little bit. Smear it out. All right. So, we're going to glue that down there right in the corner. And while that dries, I always get my yellow highlighter and highlight what are the steps being talked about on this little notes sheet right here. Steps being talked about are multiplying and dividing mixed numbers. So, as I always do, I'll go over real quick what the steps say. I might make a few quick little notes on here, and then we'll go over in more detail how we apply these steps to problems involving mixed numbers. All right, so number 1 is my light blue pencil, and the first step says to write each mixed number or whole number as an improper fraction. So that's why they had you doing this practice up here. That's your first step, is to convert those mixed numbers or whole numbers into improper fractions. Now, with my orange pencil, I'm going to put a step 2 in here of cross reduce. Now, they don't put it on here because they assume by now that when they get to the step that says multiply or divide, you know you're supposed to cross-reduce. But I have students so often forgetting they need to do that and then getting stuck with really big numbers they have to work with in multiplying or converting back into mixed numbers. It's so much easier if we cross-reduce first. So I insert that in there as a step. So this becomes step 3 essentially, multiplying or dividing using the improper fractions that we created in step 1. And then the last step, as always, is to make sure that we have written the answer in its simplest form. Okay? So here's what that looks like. With my black pencil, I'm going to write right here, find the value. Okay, find the value. All right, so first problems we're going to be working on are find the products, really, because they're going to be multiplication problems. And it starts with 7 1/3 times 1 1/4. Okay, 7 1/3 times 1 1/4. Now, it said step 1 is to convert these mixed numbers into improper fractions. So that's what we will do first. So 3 times 7 is 21, plus 1 is 22, 22, and we keep the denominator, so that's 22 over 3. Okay? We keep that, and then we have to do the same with the other mixed number. So 4 times 1 is 4, plus 1 is 5, so that's 5 for my numerator. Over 4, we keep the denominator. Now we've taken care of step 1. That's converting those mixed numbers into improper fractions. Okay? Now the next step would be to multiply the numerators across, multiply the denominators across, but I say the next step is to cross reduce first, so we don't have these big numbers, 22 times 5, right? So 2 can go into 4 2 times, and 2 can go into 22 11 times. Now our numbers are smaller. Nothing I can do with 3 and 5, so they stay the same. Now with my brown pencil, I'll take care of what becomes our step 3, multiply or divide using the improper fractions. So 11 times 5 is 55. 3 times 2 is 6. Okay, now that's an improper fraction. We can't have that as our answer. Our answer needs to be a proper fraction or a mixed number. All right, so we've got to figure that one out. So 6 can go into 55 9 times. I know 9 times 6 is 54, so that leaves me with 1 left over. Keep the denominator, just scooch it right over, and our final answer becomes 9 1/6. Okay, that's how we do it. First, we turn those mixed numbers into improper fractions. Then we cross-reduce and multiply like we normally would any other multiplying fractions problem. Okay, so let's do one more. How about 3 1/4 times 4. Now we have a whole number. Okay, so steps 1 says write each mixed or whole number as an improper fraction. Here's what they mean by this 4. If you did lesson 5.6, you'll remember that we multiply or divide whole numbers by putting the whole number over a 1, because any number over 1 is still itself. It doesn't change its value at all. So if I have 4 over 1, is that not an improper fraction? Of course it is, because the definition of an improper fraction is when your numerator is larger than your denominator. So step 1, my blue pencil, 4 times 3 is 12, plus 1 is 13. Keep the denominator on this one, that's 4. Okay, and then we convert this 4 into an improper fraction by simply putting it over 1. Now it's an improper fraction. Now we would cross-reduce and multiply by the steps that you've already learned. So cross-reducing on this one, I have matching numbers, so I know those will each go down to 1. 4 goes into itself once, 4 goes into itself once. I have a 1 here, so I know whatever that other number is diagonal, it's already reduced as far as it can go. So now with my brown pencil, I do the actual multiplying. 13 times 1 is 13. 1 times 1 is 1. Okay, that is not simplified. We can't leave that number over 1 like that. That's an improper fraction. So the answer becomes 13. All right, so that's 2 examples of how we multiply mixed numbers and whole numbers. Okay, all right, so let's look a little further then at how we do that with dividing, finding quotients. So with my black pencil over here, I'm going to write find the quotient. I really should have written up here find the product, but anyway. If you want to change that in your notes, that wouldn't be a bad idea. Okay, so first problem we're going to do is 7 3/8. 7 3/8 divided by 1/2. All right, first step remains the same. First we have to convert any mixed numbers or whole numbers into improper fractions. So we've got to change this. 8 times 7 plus 3 becomes 59. Keep the denominator of 8. We still have a division problem here. We're not ready yet. Okay, and this is already there's nothing we can do with this 1/2. We can't change 1/2 into an improper fraction, so it just stays the same. It's not a mixed number or a whole number. Okay. All right, so then step 2 says to cross reduce, but we're dividing and we can't cross reduce yet because we have to change this division problem into a multiplication problem, remember? So to do that, we have to remember copy times flip. All right, so we copy the first fraction, which is 59 over 8. Change the division into a multiplication problem. That's the times. Copy times flip. Flip that second fraction. Now we're ready for step 2 of cross reduce. All right, so let's see. I have an 8 and a 2. I know 2 can go into itself once and 2 can go into 8 4 times. This is a 1, so I know that no matter what's diagonal to it, it's already reduced as far as it can go. So now I can multiply straight across. So I have 1 times 59 over 1 times 4. Okay, that's an improper fraction, so that is not fully simplified. We need to do that now. So I've got, let's see. Did I make a mistake here? Oh, no, I don't think so. Okay, so how many times is 4 going to 49? Well, I'm going to have to do a little bit of scribbling on some scratch paper over here. I don't want to mess up my notes, so I'm going to scribble it over on the side. 4 divides into 59. 1, 4, 1. Bring down the 9. 4 times, let's see, 4. That'd be 16. And that leaves me with 3. 14 3/4 is what I get on that one. 14 3/4. Now I'm doing this kind of fast. I hope I didn't make a mistake. I say this in my videos often. I always mean it. If you see that I made a mistake somewhere, let me know so I can correct it. But I think I have that right? 2 goes into 4, 4. Yep, I think so. All right. So that's what I believe my answer is. If you disagree with me, like I said, let me know. Okay, so next one we're going to do is 5 and 5/6 divided by 1 2/3. All right, first step, convert those mixed numbers into improper fractions. So 6 times 5 is 30, plus 5 is 35. Keep the denominator of 6. And we are still in a division problem here. Take care of this other one. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 2 is 5, over 3. All right, now we've converted, so we need to do what we do with a division problem, which is to copy times flip. So copy 35 over 6 times, convert that division into multiplication, flip that 5/3 into 3/5. Now we're ready to cross reduce. All right, so 5 can go into itself once. 5 can go into 35 7 times. All right, 3 can go into itself once, and 3 can go into 6 2 times. Oh, that's nice. We made our numbers much smaller to deal with now. So 7 times 1 is 7. Oh, I should have my brown pencil. This is our step 4. Well, 2, but we added 1 in there. So 7 times 1 is 7. Come on, paper. And 2 times 1 is 2. That is an improper fraction, so we have to convert it into a mixed number. 2 goes into 7 3 times with 1 left over, so I have 3 1/2 as my final answer, which I will circle in red. Okay, so that's how you do multiplying and dividing of mixed numbers and whole numbers. And so let's take a look at our practice problems. Practice problems. All right, let's see. Okay, here is the first 5 or 6 of the practice problems for lesson number 5.7. You may want to press pause here and work these problems out, and then I'll push the paper up for the rest of the problems in just a couple seconds. Okay, here are the rest of the problems for lesson 5.7 practice problems. Okay, let's go ahead and work these out. All right, so I have 3 times 2 and 2/9. My first step is to turn any whole numbers or mixed numbers into improper fractions. So I turn a whole number into an improper fraction by putting it over 1. That is now an improper fraction. And this one I have 2 times 9 is 18, plus 2 is 20, over 9. Okay, and then I need to cross reduce if I can, and I can. 3 goes into itself once, 3 goes into 9 3 times. And so now I have 20 over 3. That is an improper fraction, can't stay that way. So 3 can go into 20, let's see, 6 times. 3 times 6 is 18, yeah, 6 times. So that leaves me with 2 left over. Scooch that denominator right on over, and I get an answer of 6 2/3. And I'll circle that in red, 6 2/3. Okay. All right, next one is 1/3 times 3 3/8. Well, the 1/3 is already a proper fraction. It is nothing, we don't have to do anything to it. Only if it's a mixed number or whole number do we have to turn it into an improper fraction. So 1/3 is fine. And we've got 8 times 3 is 24, 25, 26, 27 over 8. Can I cross reduce any of that? Yes, I can. 3 goes into itself once. 3 goes into 27 9 times. So now I have 1 times 9 multiplying the numerators, 1 times 8 multiplying the denominators. This is an improper fraction. That 8 is smaller than the 9. So the 8 goes into 9 one time with 1 left over. Scooch that 8 on over. And my final answer is 1 1/8. Okay, number 3. 1 1/6 times 3 1/2. All right. Well, 6 times 1 is 6, plus 1 is 7, over 6. Times 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 is 7, over 2. Can I cross reduce? Oh, I can't cross reduce anything here, so I'm just going to have to deal with the numbers. All right, so I got 49. 7 times 7 is 49. 6 times 2 is 12. That's an improper fraction. Need to fix that. I know 12 times 4 is 48. So I'm going to say 4 with 1 left over. Scooch that denominator over. We keep it. And my final answer is 4 1/2. Or, excuse me, 4 1/12. All right, let's do some division problems. Number 5. First step is to turn these whole numbers and mixed numbers into improper fractions. So 5 gets turned into an improper fraction by putting it over 1. And then 4 times 1 is 4, plus 1 is 5, over 4. All right, now we're going to treat this as a usual division problem, which means copy times flip. So copy the 5 over 1, change the division into multiplication, that's your times, and flip the second fraction, 4 over 5. Now, can I cross reduce? Yes, I have matching numbers there, so I know those turn into 1s, and I love it when that happens. My numbers are nice and small and simple. 1 times 4 is 4. 1 times 1 is 1. That's an improper fraction, so we turn it into simply 4. Final answer circled in red. All right, let's look at number 5. Number 5 says 2 and 5/6 divided by 3/8. So we've got to turn this 2 and 5/6 into an improper fraction. 6 plus 2 is 12, plus 5 is 17 over 6 divided by 3/8. All right, now we've got a division problem. Follow the rules. Copy 17 over 6 times, turn the division into multiplication, flip the second fraction. Okay, let's see. Nothing I can do with the 3 and the 17, but 2 can go into 6 3 times, and 2 can go into 8 4 times. That brings it down to something a little bit easier. And 17 times 4 is 68. 3 times 3 is 9. I know that 9 can go into 68 7 times. With 5 left over, keep the denominator. All right? So there's your answer on number 5. All right, number 6. First step is to turn these mixed numbers into improper fractions. So 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 is 7. Keep the denominator, put it over 2, divided by 1 times 4 is 4, plus 1 is 5, over 4. Now I need to turn this into a multiplication problem. So we've got copy times flip. 7 over 2 is what I copy. Change that division symbol into a multiplication symbol, times, and flip the second fraction. So now we have 4 over 5. Going to cross reduce. 2 can go into itself once. 2 can go into 4 2 times. Nothing I can do with the 5 and the 7. 7 times 2 is 14. 1 times 5 is 5. That's an improper fraction. I have to turn it into a mixed number. So 5, let's see, 5 times 3 is 15, so that's going to be too much. So 5 can go into 14 2 times with 4 left over. So 2 and 4/5 is my answer. Okay, last one. Here's our word problem. All right, so Naomi used 4 3/4 tablespoons of coffee for each pot. She made 1 pot each day, Monday through Friday. How many tablespoons of coffee did she use? Now, you're going to be looking here because I didn't tell you, is this a multiplication problem or a division problem? And when you're trying to figure that out, you got to be asking yourself, are you trying to split something up or add multiple groups of things? So we have this many days. Is that splitting it up or making it bigger? Okay, so 4 3/4 tablespoons, 5 days, Monday through Friday, 5 days. So we've got a problem here that says 4, let's see, am I in the frame? Yeah, okay. 4 3/4 times 5, because Monday through Friday is 5 days. Okay, so step 1 is to change these all into improper fractions. 5 times 4 is 20, plus 3 is 23 over 5, times, put that whole number over a 1 to make it an improper fraction. All right, and I've got 2 5s, numbers match, which means 5 goes into itself once, 5 goes into itself once. Now I have 23 over 1, 4, and oh no, that didn't look right to me. I'm sorry, I copied this number down wrong over here. So let me erase, and I'll try that again. That's what happens when you're doing things on the fly. All right, here, let's try that again. All right, so we've got 4 3/4 times 5. All right, 4 times 4 is 16, 17, 18, 19 over 4. Oh, my numbers were much easier the way I wrote them down before incorrectly. 5 over 1. Okay, because I can't cross reduce anything here. So I'm going to have to scratch out on the side here and figure out what is 19 times 5, and it is 95. 1, 4. Okay, and then I'm going to have to do some long division over here real quick to find out how many times 4 can divide into 95. It can divide into 95 23 times with 3 left over. Keep the 4. And this would be, what are we talking about? Tablespoons. Tablespoons. Okay, so let's answer the question. How many tablespoons of coffee did she use? All right, let me get this up here. Here we go. All right, so Naomi used 23 3/4 tablespoons of coffee. All right, there's my answer. Okay, so there's your practice problems for lesson 5.7. The worksheet for lesson 5.7 is much like the worksheet for 5.6. They are dividing up your multiplication problems and your division problems, so they're very easy to see which is which. And as long as you use your notes, you've got examples for everything on here. There's nothing tricky about them. They're very straightforward. So last step is to show you what the exit problems are. You want to use these on your own and get some practice. That'd be a great idea. I won't be giving you the answers to these. You can check with your teacher or somebody else you want to work with. Okay, so that's the end of lesson 5.7. Remember, the only way to learn math is to do math, and mistakes are proof that you're learning.